The NBA draft is less than a week away, but the real question is, will the Sixers trade for a pick? Also, a Harden contingency plan rumor going around. What could it be? And lastly, some key updates on Sixer free agents. We'll break all of it down here on Philly Take with RB.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into the show. Like always, hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Be sure to subscribe and also ring that bell down below. That way you don't miss any of the content. Today we are back and a plethora of news going around in the NBA world. Some quick updates, nothing too crazy on the Sixers side, but definitely some key things to think about as we really get into this next stage of the offseason. Free agency coming up. What will happen with James Harden? We have some rumors on that. Also, the draft is next Thursday. Nobody's really talked about it because the Sixers currently have no picks, but what could they do? Well, something is starting to stir up. We'll get into all of it here. The question of the day, or the two questions of the day to Sixer Nation. Number one, if James Harden leaves, what is the contingency plan? What is the thing that you would do for this team? Who do you target after that? Also, should the Sixers trade into the second round of the draft? If you were the Sixers, do you think you could realistically pull off a trade? Is it even worth it to go out and get a second round pick? We'll break all of it down and get into my thoughts. But before we do so, shout out to the partner of today's video. Shout out to the partner of today's video, Mint Mobile. If you out there are similar to everyone else in the world who has thought to themselves at one point, why is my wireless bill so high? Then Mint Mobile is for you. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 per month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network and keep costs low because they sell directly to you online, cutting out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? You can go and use that money to treat yourself to a Sixers game or even buy a new jersey. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. They even offer super affordable family plans with as little as 2 lines. And switching to Mint is super easy thanks to their digital eSIM cards. You can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will actually ship you a new SIM card free of charge. The whole process will only take about 15 minutes. And if you get stuck, Mint has a great customer service team to help you through it. So if you are interested in reliable coverage and fast data for a fraction of the cost, go to mintmobile.com/PhillyTake. You can go right down to the description of this video and click the link, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. All right, man, let's get right into this. So let's start off with some NBA draft talk. I know it sounds crazy given that the Sixers have no draft picks, but we need to talk about this right here. Shout out to my guy Harrison Grimm putting the quote from Jake Fischer's article on Twitter. Jake Fischer keeps dropping these news bomb intel pieces, and here's what he said about Philadelphia. He says, Philadelphia sources said is not expected to target Fred VanVleet in the event that Harden departs, but the Sixers are actively seeking opportunities to acquire a second-round pick in next Thursday's draft, league sources told Yahoo Sports. In addition to that, one team that has been coming up in huge trade talks leading up to the NBA draft is the Indiana Pacers. And as we talked about on the last show, the Tobias Harris talks would be incredible if they started to link to the Indiana Pacers. I think the Indiana Pacers are a perfect destination for Tobias Harris. We're going to talk about a Jake Fischer podcast that he did, but he talked about Tobias and the Pacers a little bit. And according to sources, Evan Sideri putting it here on ESPN Twitter with Brian Windhorst, ESPN. He says the Pacers are trying to trade the number 7 overall pick for a high-level wing player. Quote, Indiana has been talking to people about the number 7 pick. I've been told that they've been trying to get wing players. They've been trying to move out of number 7 to get a high-level wing player. I think they might be able to if they are motivated enough. Now, obviously, a lot of names coming up, but hey, Indiana, if you're out there, if you're listening, Tobias Harris is a high-level wing player. I think he would be great for the Pacers in terms of, mentorship and leadership and, obviously being an expiring contract after next year. We talked about this on the Bleacher Report stream as well. He could clear $40 million after that. So, hey, if you want to move Buddy Hield and you're interested in Tobias Harris, The Sixers are out here waiting. They would love a draft pick, even if it's not number 7. They have about 5 picks in this draft, I believe. But in terms of the second round talk, let's be honest here. I don't know if the Sixers even have assets that are worth trading to get a second round pick. Now, when you look at Morey's track record in the second round, I mean, he's had 4 out of 4, in my opinion, so far, right? Petrusev, Isaiah Joe, Charles Bassey, and Paul Reed. I mean, he's 4 for 4 in the second round. Maybe he could swing one of these later guys. If it doesn't happen, then it's fine. I mean, the Sixers, I don't think have ever gone without having a draft pick, but, you know, they need to find ways to get better. And maybe there could be some sleepers late. I just don't know who they would give away. You know, like, what are you trading? I mean, there's a couple free agents out there, but there's not really a guy where it's like, okay, he just needs a different situation that's currently signed to the team. I mean, you could look at a guy like Shake, maybe Furkan. Maybe Furkan could get you a second round pick. I don't know. It's hard for me to believe they will get this done, but you never know with Daryl Morey. So let me know what you think. Should the Sixers get a second round pick in next week's draft? I want to talk about James Harden because there are some rumors going around with him. Obviously, that is the main domino here. And shout out to Sixer Daily for putting this clip on Twitter. Brian Windhorst has been going off about James Harden, and he says that the Sixers are, quote, not desperate for James Harden. Sounds like Morey and company are more prepared for a pivot if Harden walks, from Sixers Daily here. And everything that Brian Windhorst is saying, and remember, he was spot on about James Harden at the 21 deadline, 21-22 deadline. But Brian Windhorst is making it seem like it's either James Harden lands in Houston or he stays in Philadelphia, and there's nothing else to that conversation. And he's making it seem like the Sixers are like, all right, you know, we're willing to bring you back, but we're not going over the ledge. I think that is the smart mindset. If I'm the Sixers, I offer a 2-year deal with a player option again, because even though it isn't confirmed yet, it is likely that James Harden declines his player option. Now, maybe he would accept that. I don't see it happening. So if I'm the Sixers, maybe you offer him a little bit more, but 2 years is where I'm drawing the line. If you give him a 4-year deal, it is going to hurt this franchise. Maybe a 3-year deal is stretching it, but you know, you have to get better in the short and the long term. And I don't think James Harden is going to like that. So Brian Windhorst kind of makes it seem like the Sixers are standing a little bit firm here. And then Brian Toporek put this on Twitter earlier. Jake Fischer, like I mentioned, did a podcast, and this is what he said about James Harden. Quote, if Harden does walk, I think they have a couple things up their sleeves that they're thinking about, but it's not like the sky is going to be falling. So essentially, like I said before, Nick Nurse came here to win. The Sixers are not rebuilding or anything close to that this upcoming season. Does that mean they trade Tobias Harris? Obviously, reports are they're not interested in Van Vliet. They're not interested in Bradley Beal. They're not interested in Levine, whoever else. So who are they going to get? What is the contingency plan? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Like I said before, it's a tough situation. You almost have to bring James Harden back, but you can't overpay for him, right? Because who else is out there? I'm seeing trades today talking about a Drew Holiday swap. I don't know if that's the answer. I'm seeing trades, you know, with Phoenix, CP3. It's not the answer. I'm seeing trades, and people are even telling me to get Kyrie in here. I don't know if that is the answer. There are so many different, accumulations here of ideas, but I don't see any of them being realistic. So what is the contingency plan for the Philadelphia 76ers? It almost feels to me that they're going to have to find a way to work something out here. Let me know what you think about that. In addition to James Harden, we know this team still needs to get better in the supporting cast. They need to get better around James Harden, but according to Jake Fischer, the Sixers are trying to retain 3 of their current free agents. And here is what he had to say about that.
I think Philly wants to bring back Paul Reed too. I would think that they definitely have interest, to my knowledge, in bringing back George Niang and Jalen McDaniels, depending on the price tags for both those guys. I mean, those guys are completely in that ballpark of like, are we getting the mid-level or are we getting a lot less? Like, that's kind of.
So according to Jake Fischer, the Sixers are trying to retain Paul Reed, Jalen McDaniels, and George Niang. What do we think about that? John Hollinger put out a piece on The Athletic, and this is what he had to say about Paul Reed. He says, quote, my formula has erroneously calculated that Paul Reed is not worth the max. He's obviously joking here, but he says, He explains why the Sixers should be able to bring Reed back on a team-friendly deal. At this point, I don't think Reed has done enough to earn some big, crazy contract. I think it actually works out good for the Sixers because I don't know how much other teams even, value Paul Reed because he hasn't gotten true opportunity for an entire season. I mean, he started to heat up at the end of the year. That's because Doc Rivers played him. I think the Sixers should be able to get him back on maybe a 2 or 3 year friendly deal. And I think it'll benefit the Sixers. They have to bring Paul Reed back. I'll tell you that. And I'll also tell you that they need to bring Jalen McDaniels back. You may be out there thinking, well, McDaniels didn't, play well in the playoffs or he didn't improve himself. I don't think he had enough opportunity, to be quite honest. And I think he's obviously still developing, has upside and, can do a lot of things as we saw, for glimpses at certain times that this Sixers team needs. But he's still very young. And you traded Thibault, you traded a pick to go out and even get McDaniels. And, well, you're not drafting next week as of right now. You might as well find a way to bring him back. Morey said when the Sixers traded for McDaniels that was the goal. So I think he'll come back. George Niang, I don't know. People are split on that. I mean, if you can get him at a value contract, again, you can't really overpay at this point. Maybe you bring back the minivan who can knock down threes and obviously needs to maybe get a little bit slimmer, work on the defensive side of the ball more. But, all these guys out there, they're going to have to find cheap options. And really, again, the first domino is James Harden. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that situation. But other than that, who do you think the Sixers should bring back right now? What is their contingency plan? Will James Harden return? These are the main questions right now. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.